Welcome to spring training for all league secretaries. Today, we're going to go over a quick job description, your record keeping and responsibilities. We'll discuss quorum, voting, and motions, approving and filing minutes, the conflict of interest and confidentiality agreement, and the various resources available to you. As league secretary, your main focus is you want to maintain a record of all meetings and actions of your league board, committees, and membership. You want to maintain the key documents of your league, such as the bylaws and the standing rules. Do and perform such other duties as may be assigned by the board, the president, bylaws, or the procedures manual. Please refer to page 23 of the bylaws and read the entire document to get more familiar with your job description. There is also a secretary section in the procedures manual that you can also review for more in-depth detail. Please also remember that as you record or upload all of your different files onto your league's website, you also want to make a copy and download them onto an external thumb drive. We also have a quick one-pager of your responsibilities and roles as secretary, and this can be found in the All Leagues Shared Files by Inc. with all leagues. Your job as secretary includes record keeping and making sure that certain responsibilities are met. Number one, you want to make sure that quorum is always met. 2, record motions. 3, tally the votes. 4, take minutes at the meetings. 5, approve the minutes. And 6, make sure that you file all the meeting documents, such as agendas, minutes, and monthly reports. When meetings are held, you want to make sure that you have met quorum. Quorum almost always must be met in order for you to hold the meeting. Voting is something else that you need to be responsible for. One thing to remember is that there are no proxies allowed. And also, if you have a board member that shares a position with somebody else, their vote counts as one. For example, if you have 2 people sharing the position of a treasurer, those co-treasurers share only one vote and they must agree. If they don't agree, then they must abstain. Parliamentarian also gets one vote, whereas the past president does not. In many leagues, the past president serves as a parliamentarian. If this is the case, that person will get a vote. If they are simply just the past president and not the parliamentarian, then they only serve as an advisory role and they have no vote. One common question that we get about voting is if online voting is permissible. This is only allowed if the voting is actually part of a Zoom meeting. The reason for this is that we need to make sure that there is an opportunity for members to actually discuss the motion at hand. An online voting poll with no Zoom meeting does not allow for discussion, and this would not be allowed. Once the online voting is done, you still want to make sure that you are taking minutes and take a screenshot of the online poll. There are different requirements for quorum and adoption of different rules depending on what type of meeting is being held. For board and special meetings, quorum is majority and adoption is a majority. For general meetings, quorum is 1/3 and adoption is 1/3. Standing rules, quorum is 1/3, but adoption is 2/3. One helpful tip is when if you are holding a Zoom or virtual meeting, is to please have your members sign their names in the chat section. That way you can use this as your sign-in log. As league secretary, you also want to make sure that motions are recorded. Motions should be captured in the minutes and include the exact wording used in presenting the motion. One helpful tip is to please use the motion form template. Motions should be recorded in the minutes as approved or carried or lost and defeated. Another helpful best practice tip is to maintain a motion log. This allows you to track the motions for the year in a comprehensive way so that future board members can refer to your motions easily. When you're taking minutes, we often advise you to think as a reporter. You want to do the who, what, where, when, why, and how questions. Who, meaning the names of the people that are present or absent for the board, general, and committee meetings. What, which is the summary of the discussion and the actions taken. Any reports, such as monthly board reports, should also be included as attachments. Where, meaning the location or how the meeting is being held. For example, please write down the physical address if it's at somebody's home or office. And if it's at a Zoom meeting, then you want to make sure that you record this as well. When, meaning the date and time of the meeting. And you want to also note both the call to order and the adjournment. Why, meaning what type of meeting is this? Is this for a board meeting, a special meeting, a committee meeting, a general meeting? And how, you want to make sure that you note that if quorum is present. If as secretary, you are not able to take minutes for a meeting, please name a substitute and they will do it for you. Approving minutes is another responsibility of the secretary. Minutes of the previous board meeting should be distributed, usually through email, to the board members in advance of the next board meeting for approval of that meeting. After the minutes have been approved, as written or with the corrections, they should be marked as approved with the date of the meeting at which they were approved and you, the secretary's signature. Minutes are not considered official unless they are approved. This is just a quick flow chart explaining on how to handle minutes. As you can see on the upper left, we have a current set of minutes that were made. So let's say we just had a meeting in the month of April. We'll refer to these as our current minutes. After that April board meeting, you're going to send it to the president and the president will review it, make any corrections, and send it back to you. These April minutes are now considered past, old, or reviewed minutes. 1 week prior to the next board meeting, let's say that's May, you as secretary are going to attach the old past reviewed minutes, those April minutes, to May's proposed agenda. These two documents are then going to be filed in two different ways. One, you're going to go ahead and send it to your board and have them go ahead and read it prior to the meeting. And secondly, these documents will be filed in the upcoming months folder. This should be under the board members, board meetings, the year, and agendas. In regards to those past or the old month's minutes, in this case, April's, you as president, or I'm sorry, you as secretary will send it to the president. The president will then send it back to you after they signed it. You will sign it, and then you file it as a PDF and put it in the past months folder, in this case, April. So that will be under board members, board meetings, the year, and minutes. Again, these are the minutes that were approved at your meeting. One set of documents that needs to be signed by all new league members are the confidentiality agreement and the conflict of interest. Board members are identified as being the president, secretary, treasurer, VP of membership, VP of philanthropy, VP of coaches, VP of teammates, and the parliamentarian and president-elect. All of these board members must sign these two documents. If there is a board member that's serving their second term, they do not need to sign the documents again. If the board member is brand new, then they do need to. If a board member is rolling off of one position and rolling on to another, such as your past secretary is now your president, they do not have to re-sign these documents. The conflict of interest form is an 8-page document. The first 7 pages are standard and are signed by your league president. Page 8 is what your new board members need to sign. For the confidentiality agreement, it's just a 1-pager and they just sign at the bottom. This slide explains where you should file both of these documents. Here's a snapshot of what the conflict of interest page 8 looks like. As you can see, you want to make sure that they enter your league name at the top and then sign and date at the bottom. Again, this is page 8 of the conflict of interest form, and this is the only page of the conflict of interest form that needs to be filed. And again, this is where you can file it. Here's a sample of a confidentiality agreement. Again, it's 1 page and you just sign and date at the bottom. And these are the instructions on where to file it. There are many resources for the league secretaries. We will go over some of them. The first one is the All Leagues Shared Files by Inc. with all leagues. If you look under the board member files folder, under Inc. Secretary, under templates, you will see a variety of templates that are available to you to use. The other resource that's very helpful is located on the Inc. website under the officer pages under Secretary. We have a recommended filing system for the leagues. Most leagues have already complied with this recommendation and have already been set up. If your league is not set up as follows, we recommend that you follow this recommended filing system. As you can see, in general, the green league folder is something that all leagues have access to, whereas the gray folders are folders that are only seen by your league. This is an in-depth view of what the recommended filing system should look like. This first slide shows you all the different folders and subfolders under the board members folder. The second parent folder is the general meetings folder. And as you can see, there are also subfolders underneath this. The third parent folder is the league documents folder. And there are several subfolders that fall under this, including your conflict of interest and confidentiality agreements. The last parent folder is the legal, tax, and insurance documents folder. This is where your federal tax group exemption letter should be stored, as well as your EIN documentation and other important documents. When naming files, we do have a recommended filing naming convention. Files should always be named in PDF format. They should also begin with the year that they were created, unless they're under a folder that was already titled with that year. We would like the file names to be short but descriptive, and make sure that you order the elements in a file name according to the way the file would be retrieved. This just makes it a little bit easier when filing and trying to locate files. Again, all final versions of any document should be saved as PDFs and uploaded also on that external USB thumb drive. For the most part, most of your filing of documentations will be under these files and folders. This is a snapshot of the Inc. website. This is where you can find several resources, not only for yourself, but other board members as well. Specifically, there is an officer page for each Inc. board member. Click on the officer pages on the far right, and then click on Secretary. This will take you to the Secretary Officer page. This is where you can find a library of resources such as tutorials and past meetings. The following topics will not be discussed during today's video, but can be referred to on the officer page. These tutorials include creating an electronic signature, creating folders and uploading files, a whitelist tutorial, a TechSoup tutorial, document signing for new board members tutorial, learning how to file text documents, a quorum and motions procedure for general meetings tutorial, as well as annual membership election meeting procedures tutorial. Any questions, please email to secretary@boysteamcharity.org. Thank you again for being a part of such a great organization. Your position as League Secretary is an important one, and we truly appreciate all the time and energy. Thank you.